And when we put things back in the context of family, you know, like you said, family is, there's no one vying for, you know, for roles, and you do what's necessary for the functioning of the family, whoever has the ability to do so. So we're not fighting over who should cook or who shouldn't cook. The person who has the capacity to cook cooks. You have a cookout with your family, with your take it out of the context of religion and all those things, but just your family. You having a cookout. You're not fighting over, oh no, the men's gonna pass out the plate. No, the women's gonna pass out the plate. Oh no, you're doing whatever's necessary. You jump in to do whatever's necessary based on your availability, based on your capacity, based off of love, you know, because we're flowing in the context of love. We're flowing in the context of what is needed, because the Ruach gives he gives us his Ruach. You know, the scripture talks about how when Paul's talking about he gave, you know, different gifts, right?
That's right.
But the Most High doesn't just give us, okay, this is my gift and this is your gift. He pours out his Ruach, and the Ruach gives gifts as needed. So if a teacher is needed today, then the Ruach will give a spirit of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. You know, if a helping hand is needed, then the Most High will empower you to be able to lift and to carry and to, you know what I mean? So the Ruach will give us his spirit. He gives us his Ruach and empowers us for whatever's necessary. When they were putting together the tabernacle, he skilled men with abilities that were needed to be able to carry out that service, right? So whatever is needed, he's going to pour out his Ruach and enable. So when we look at family and how when we truly have love amongst us, we just jump in and do whatever's necessary. It's not about who, okay, well, you're the mother, so you're supposed to, you know, take the plates and put it over here. You know, well, maybe you're not feeling well, maybe whatever the case may be. You know, so when we take off this religious mindset and get back into the context of family, you know, it's family, then we're able to just serve each other and to function.
It's so true, because that goes to the heart of when Paul is saying that there is no male or female in the body. He's talking about servitude. There are no, he's not saying that we're all running around here gender fluid, you know, or any of these weird constructs. He's talking about servitude. There are no boundaries when it comes to serving, you know, just like we see Yahusha and again, Nawa bending down low at the Passover when he's elevating by washing the servant's feet. You know, he's taking on the servitude of being a servant to wash feet of his servants, because, you know, the Talmidim are serving. Who are they? They're priests in service to the body. He says for them to go out and for them to teach. And what did he teach? He taught them to bow low, to serve one another, even by washing one another's feet, you know. And so it wasn't a high and lofty position. It was whatever needed to be done, which is the essence of who Yahweh is. When he says, I am. I am Yahweh Yarah. I am Yahweh Nisi. I am Yahweh Rapha. I am El Shaddai. I am Yahweh Sekenu. You know, I'm your righteousness. I'm the fire if you need it. I'm your healer. I'm Yahusha. I am your deliverer. You know, I am your provider. You know, I am Yahweh Sebaot of the armies. You know, we do what needs to be done to serve, and to serve effectively and well. So this whole notion of women not being able to teach is just plumb ludicrous. We are teaching. We are teaching from the cells in our body when we construct human beings in our womb, based on the blueprint that Yahweh has put inside us to be able to bring forth, you know, what is hidden, and bring that life forth that is Yah breathed. You know, we do that. And then those babies, we nurse those babies, we teach those children. And of course, we have men who help cover and protect us and keep order with us and love on us, those that have them. Some of us don't have a physical husbandman, you know. Some of us don't have a physical person in the place of authority, a living father, a living brother, a living husband. Some are widows, some are abandoned, Some men have been sacrificed to the prison industrial complex by no fault of their own, some by poor choices. We are traumatized people in this country dealing with all manner of experience from, you know, whatever it is that has birthed you in your community. And we need to tend to one another. So, you know, it frustrates me when I hear things like women can't teach. Absolutely, women can teach. Absolutely, women should teach. What women shouldn't do is be men. And what men shouldn't do is be women. You know, what we should do is be one, you know, be Achot and take our places as we nurture each other and nurture our body holistically together, you know, and there's an order with that, you know. So when I hear someone touting the scripture, you know, the admonition that women need to be silent in assemblies, everybody should be silent in the assembly until it's their turn to talk. You know, no one should be distracted to the point to where you're carrying on sidebar conversations in an assembly, or where you're interfering with someone, just like a classroom. You know, there's a decorum there. You know, if you're in a classroom, unless it's a forum or panel discussion, folks should be operating out of a posture of decency and respect, you know. And so what was being addressed at the time was a Gentile community. That was not a Hebrew community that he was addressing. He was addressing a Gentile community in its infancy and trying to bring order to them, where you have all manner of foolishness going on, from, you know, fertility rituals, sex orgies, and all types of things that were happening in the name of religion, and these various foul practices that are outside the covenant from people who had not been taught or taught well, you know. So the first thing we need to do is get everybody to be quiet. And ladies, you know, please, you know, let us get order with the men first, so that we can bring order to the whole group. That's order. You know, that's not about oppression. That is wisdom. You know, can I get everybody's attention here? You know, we're gonna serve the men first, and then we're gonna serve the women, and then we're gonna serve the children. You know, I'm using that as an example. Don't come for me about not serving the children first. Please just hear me. We're serving the men first because the men have to serve the women, who have to serve the children. Okay. I'm just using this as an analogy, as a simple analogy. Just kind of like when I think about the, and I know a lot of folks may come for me on this one too, but that's okay. I can take the heat through Yahudah, because he's bringing the fire, bring it. You know, concerning the tithe directed to Yahudah openly serves a priesthood first, then the most vulnerable, being widows and orphans, right? Why the priesthood first and then the most vulnerable? Because the priesthood is serving the most vulnerable. They need to be able to minister to them. They need to have provisions to serve them and to serve them well. You know, so if dad needs to go make sure that a reigning army isn't going to come in and kill our babies, right? We need to make sure that dad has been served. That's why daddy gets the big piece of chicken. You know, we need to make sure that he's been served and he's able to hold guard while mama eats and chews the food up and gives it to the baby. You know, this isn't about us sacrificing our babies. This is about us maintaining our lives, you know, and not being erased and being able to function. The baby doesn't need as much as daddy and mama, but by nature of our physicality, for the most part, you know, dad typically requires a little more, you know? So unless there's a food shortage, you know, where we're down to the last crumb and we're going to give, you know, or the last few crumbs, and we're going to give it to the children because we can go longer. We can fast longer without provision. there is a beauty in that order and how we serve each other. It's no different than a person who secures their own oxygen mask so they can tend to someone who may not be able to reach theirs. If I pass out, I can't help you, and so let Yah be true and every man a liar. When we look at these verses, we need to be mindful of how they were given in context and not use them in a Western mindset to create confusion, because you have sisters who are not operating in their gifts because they're under this notion. I mean, even I have been slow to come forward because I didn't want to create the appearance of diminishing Yahushua, in any kind of way through my behavior, So we need to understand that we are a body, and Yahuwah can use whomever he chooses, even to the point to where he opened the mouth of an ass, a literal ass that he had speak, when Balak was going to curse the nation, and the messenger was there to slay him, and he kept guarding him by turning him out of the way because he could see things that his rider could not see. And so in his posture, he kept turning out of the way, because he sees the messenger there getting ready to keep him. You can't carry out this mission because this mission is a violation of my people. So I'm here to stop you from bringing forth this message. And this animal, he sees that. So this animal is guarding his rider because they've been together for a long time. How do I know? Because the animal says when he gets beat after the third blow, why do you keep beating me? Have I not been your ass all this time? Have I done this to you before? Don't you think? Do we not have a relationship here, sir? What? You know me, the context has changed. So my response to the context has changed, and it's changed because I'm trying to serve you. Picked me for a reason. So why are you beating me? It's the same with how certain doctrines are impacting, us sisters who are trying to grow and be useful vessels. We're supposed to be lit. We're supposed to have a vessel filled with oil ready to illuminate, a pathway, shine Yah's light. We're menorahs, we are menorahs. We are to illuminate. We are to be light and salt, drawing light to the path. Come this way. In a dark place, in a dark room. So why? And the word says the older are supposed to teach the younger. Why are you trying to say that we need to be quiet? No, we don't. We need to be of a quiet ruach, not be quiet, but to be of the quiet. Because when Yahuwah spoke, it was the still small voice. It wasn't the roar. I mean, he can do that. But it was in the quietness that his voice was heard. So we need to be a part of bringing that order according to Yah's leading to be useful for him. Because at the end of the day, he says the unmarried woman, that he is her husband. That's Isaiah 54:5. So the gentleman asked, under what authority does the woman speak? The woman speaks when led of Haruach, under the authority of her husband, according to the word. And the husband of the unmarried woman is Yahusha, according to his word.
Mm-hmm.
And if he gives her a word to speak, then she is out of line and being disobedient if she doesn't speak according to the word that he has given her to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that's the question. Are we dealing with the body? Are we dealing with what's outside the body? Are we taken off a Babylonian mindset, or are we under the covering of Yah, being directed by him? Because just because someone has a position of authority doesn't mean that they are serving well. We talked about this before. Aaron's sons, they both had authority to be inside the veil. They were Cohen Haggadah. They were high priests of the lineage and fit all the check marks, and everything was in order except them. And they came in there with the strange fire and they got carried out, dead, unfit, deemed unfit. When it came down to being weighed in the balance, that meeny, tickle, farshin, where are you going to fall? They fell short and they died. So we have to be careful with how we deal with one another. We are to deal with one another as he would the least of these, in compassion and a heart of what can I do for you? You know, and if it's coming from that place, who are you to silence someone that Yahuwah has sent? Because clearly there aren't enough available, or he wouldn't keep saying that the harvest is bountiful and the laborers are few. Right. Who will go for me?
Right.
Who can I send? Who will believe my report? You know, and I'm not trying to usurp the brothers. Absolutely not. We need our brothers. We need our men. We love you. We are here to support you. We want to be supported. But I'm not here for the whole notion of what I'm seeing that's so troubling, that women need to be quiet and they're only saved under the banner of their husbands. And if you don't have a husband, then you need to pick a husband, even if he has other wives, you know. And that came up in the discussion, you know, and the moray that this gentleman was pointing towards is he is an elder. He is a Torah scholar, a Hebrew scholar with credentials, you know, not just because he studied some books, you know, credential, and a husband of one wife for more than 20 years. I don't want any of the sisters trying to attach themselves to that moray because of that word. That is out of line. He has a well-running home, and he is in the group because he is a Torah scholar to help us keep points of order. That's why he was invited there. He's been kind enough to take up space there, you know, that he hasn't seen anything that has resulted in him being uncomfortable, you know. And in the event that he does, I trust that he would correct, you know, according to Haruach, as he should, you know, because iron sharpens iron. We're there to you know, to heal and to talk and to keep order. This is not a chaotic, you know, buffet here. We have order, you know. And so I think that it is missing the context of a lot of why was it allowed for us to have multiple wives? Although Yahuwah says, and I probably need to read the verse, but I believe it's 1 Timothy 3:2, that an elder in his service must be the husband of one wife, having his home and his children in order. You know, that is a part of the criteria. Why did he say that specifically? That he needs to be the husband of one wife? You know, because it's a precept there. It's the same precept as if you are coming to worship me and you bringing your alms and you bringing your petitions and your prayers, that if you have something against your brother, leave your gift and go reconcile with that brother and then return. Because, I'm here. You need to take care of that because there's an order here. It's the same. So if the elder has a home that is requiring certain levels of his attention that has not been given, meaning you have a lot going on if you have multiple wives and multiple sets of children and all those things that need your attention, because serving me requires a lot, and Yahudah doesn't want us to be lukewarm in our service to him. So let him be the husband who has one wife and a well-managed home and well-managed children. And then we know that it was allowed to have multiple wives. We know some of the patriarchs had multiple wives, but if we look at where did it come from, the first to take on multiple wives is Lamech, descendant of Cain, who took 2 wives. And under that environment where you have Cain, he has left the presence of Yahudah. Even his family raised their eyebrows and had an issue with him taking 2 wives. They questioned him. What are you doing here? Right? So that's how it plays out. And then we see further on where it happens in the body, in the nation. And there aren't any instances where it runs well. It happens, but it's not, we're not shared any stories of where this is functioning in a tove. It's happening, and I'll just interject a little bit and I'll fall back so that I make room for your comments on some of the points that I brought out. But what I do see, I know the admonition is there for our men not to multiply wives to themselves. And also, there's kind of but if you take another wife, let not the first wife's provision be diminished. And I think that's where the conversation is being lost. Because I, in my whole heart, I believe that it is permissible to take a second wife, because Yah's intention is for his daughters to not be without a provision. That it's not about raising up, we got to hurry up and procreate all these babies and have, we need to be nation builders. I need 10 wives because I need to be able to produce XYZ children this year. No, because I'm hearing that. It is a matter of Yah's daughters having provision with no one having their provision diminished. So if you have a woman who has lost her husband, has no father, has no brother, she has no portion in ancient Israel. So if you are able to not have your wife's provisions diminished and you can take her, then that is tov. You're extending service to her and compassion. This isn't about sex. This isn't about creating babies. This isn't about multiplying wives to yourselves. This is about how can I serve this daughter of Yah over here? I can be a redeemer for her. That's the principle, and I can do it without it taking away from my wife and my children. That's nobody is talking about that. That's the principle, and in most cases, these women would be older women or women that have you know, it would be a rarity. It wouldn't be the construct, you know, because I'm hearing more about that than I'm even hearing about, you know, how do we serve? What are we doing? You know, it's almost like this whole agenda, you know, but it would be a rarity. You wouldn't have a whole bunch of women unless they lost their husbands to war or whatever, you know. And in those cases, you might have women with children, but you wouldn't just have a whole host of single women with no father, no brother, no prospects.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, you know, I think that part of the conversation needs to be understood in its context, that in those instances, it's about care, and it's about order. It's about love. It's not about the flesh. It's about the ruach. It's about the spirit. And if you are doing that, you're serving the whole body as unto Yah. You know, no different than Yah grafting in a Gentile into the natural branch. You know, it's a precept there. Am I making sense?
Absolutely.
So, you know, that's where I think Women of the Living Word has its purpose in being able to keep the conversation in a format that is respectable enough for us to deal with some of these weighty matters. And get down to, is this passing the litmus test of serving Yah, or is this falling under us serving ourselves? Make it plain. And if it's not this, then we need to ask him to help us deal with that.
I think that's the whole, that kind of sums it all up, bringing it back to both of those institutions. Marriage as well as the body belongs to Yah, you know, and everything that we do, we're supposed to be a reflection of him, you know. So it's supposed to look like him and look like what he is trying to do, you know. We're on a micro level doing what he's doing, reflecting what he's doing on a macro level. So he's given us these things as gifts. He's given us to be a part of the body, the living stones that are being, you know, built together, you know, the part of his house. You know, we brothers and sisters, ox and the coatis, we're walls. We're the walls of the house, you know, that's being built together, you know. So he's painting these pictures for us as the body, you know, and then we are the bride, and he's the bridegroom, you know. So he's given us marriage to be a reflection of that. So the things that we are carrying out on this level are a reflection of him. So we have to look at, what is he doing? You know, how is he reflecting these things? How is he carrying these things out? And we're looking to be a reflection of him, and not, like you said, serving ourselves. It's not for our own intentions. It's not for our own purposes, but to be a reflection of, to do what he does. You know, Yahudah said that he does what the Father does. He says what the Father says, you know, not your will, but my will, you know, not my will, but your will be done. And, you know, so that is our purpose, is to be a reflection in these things of him, you know. So we have to look at the fact of where we are in time, where this is not a season of nation building, so to speak, where they were trying to build a nation in that time. We moved beyond that time, where now Yahudah has come, the King has come, and the order has been reset, and now we are looking to establish the kingdom of Yah. So the kingdom of Yah that is being established with Yahudah at the head is not going to look the same as the nation of Israel. You know, that was that type of priesthood that the Most High was doing at that time. So at this point in time, what is it that Yahudah has left? What is he spoken? You know, what is the instructions that were left for us, and what are we doing? He said the kingdom is at hand. So we got to get to see what is this kingdom, and how do we enter into this kingdom, And how do we operate now in the Ruach, in his spirit, you know? So this is why Paul can say things like, there's no Jew or Gentile, there's no male or female. Well, clearly there's male and female. Clearly there's Jew and Gentile. However, we are being Achad, we're being made one. Why? Because he's poured out that one Ruach. He's poured out that one spirit, because the spirit is one. The spirit is not male or female. The spirit is not Jew. The spirit is not Jew or Gentile, male or female, or all these different things. The Ruach is one Ruach that's poured out from above, from the Father. You know, and that Ruach is one. So that Ruach can be defined by his power, his wisdom, his knowledge, his understanding, his, you know, all of these elements of him that he pours out into us, and is not discriminate. He does not discriminate. So once he pours out his Ruach, it does not discriminate to a male vessel or a female vessel. It is what it is, and it does what it does, regardless of whatever vessel he pours it out on. So the question is, who are we to stop the Ruach from the Ruach is being is serving and doing the service through his servants. You know,
we are not to quench the Ruach. We are told in the scripture not to quench the Ruach. You're right. Not
quench the Ruach. So so we have to look at, are we quenching the Ruach by our flesh, by our own ideas and our own, if, like you said earlier, if the Ruach is, if it's in a spirit of humility and a spirit of service. You know, if we don't see anything if it's the Ruach, then it's going to operate under all of the characteristics of the Ruach, the fruit of the Ruach. But when the characteristics and the fruit of the Ruach is not what we're seeing, then we come in as a guard to be able to say, well, wait a minute, this is not reflective of the king. This is not reflective of his Ruach. So now we have to step in, and now we, you know, whoever is of the authority has to step in and say, okay, you know, let's take a look at what's going on here. But if we are seeing the Ruach in operation, who are we to quench the Ruach? You know, whoever it is coming from. So, you know, just to speak to that whole issue of you know, of shutting down, you know, what if a woman should teach, or these different things, in the same, in the spirit of, you know, we talked about the multiple wives and different things of looking at whose kingdom is being built and what are the purposes, you know, when they, in the book of Acts, when they became of one Ruach, it came together, what did they start to do? They started to take all of their belongings collectively to make sure that the needs were met, you know. So when we are doing what we're supposed to be doing collectively, then the needs of everyone should be met. So it doesn't matter if you are, we are all Achad, we're family. So we should be taking care of, making sure that the widow is taken care of, and the orphan is taken care of, and all those who are uncovered and without. It is our job collectively to make sure that they're being taken care of. You know, so that is the priority. That was their priority at that point in time. So that is our priority, to collectively make sure we're being taken care of. So that is the kingdom. That is the kingdom, and operating in that flow. So we got to reevaluate what is it that we're doing, and why are we doing something that's self-serving, you know, for our own needs? Are we still looking at ancient Israel in the ancient, you know, the ancient nation of Israel, and what Yah was allowing during that time period? Or are we looking at it, we really truly understand this renewed covenant and the kingdom of Yah? That's what we have to really look at. What does it mean to build the kingdom of Yah, and to enter into the kingdom of Yah and what he's doing? Because Yah is dealing with eternal things. He's bringing us back to the garden. You know, he's bringing us into a space that is not dealing with flesh, but is dealing with his eternal things that he's bringing us into. So that's right. I think that everything that you laid out was excellent. How the Ruach just brought that out, because it's we have to, flesh has to decrease so that the Ruach can increase, so that Yahushua can be established as the head of this house. You know, as he's been established by the Most High Yah.
And he is the head. And when we, and that's the issue, is discernment. Because we are to discern the spirits to see if they are of Yah. We're not to believe every lying spirit, you know, and the spirit can be of Yah one day, and it can be not of Yah the next day, just like what happened with Saul. You know, one minute he was anointed king, and the next minute he was not, you know, because it had left him, you know. And Yahudah, his spirit, you know, wasn't contending with him anymore like that. So that can happen, you know, we need to be looking at what are we doing? What are we building? Are we building, as you said, the living stones, the foundation that Yahweh has given us with Yahushua as chief cornerstone?
Yeah.
You know, are we building on that structure, or are we serving ourselves? Because when we're serving and operating out of Haruach, it is not difficult to serve one another.
Yeah.
You will, you know, you won't think twice about helping that sister. Well, even if you're tired, you won't think twice about helping that sister. You won't think twice about giving somebody your last, because you're not even worried about it, because you know Yahuwah doesn't run out. You know, he rains bread from heaven, brings water from the rock if he needs to. You know, he opens up a path in the sea if he needs to. You know, there's no barriers for him. He speaks to the wind and the waves, be still. You know, so when we are operating in harmony with him working inside of us, you know, because it's him working inside of us. That's why we drink his blood and eat his body, so that is working inside of us. You know, then we're able to walk it out. Because that's who Yahusha is. Yah working inside of a body, walking it out. And so when he says, follow me, we are able to do that. And it's not hard. Just like he said, it's not hard. We become yoked with that Aleph, the true Aleph. And we are able to plow on towards the mark. And we are able to be secured by the covenant. And it's not hard. Sin is hard. You know, dealing with us being out of order when we get caught up in ourselves, that's hard. You know, having to sit down and examine yourself and take on that heart circumcision. I'm not a man. I cannot imagine, you know, but if I think about it, I think, you know, well, I did tend to a circumcised son. It didn't look fun, you know, even though he was a baby. You get what I'm saying? So that heart work, that heart circumcision, it's going to take something from you. You know, it's going to take, just like it's taking something from you in the physical space, it's going to take something from you. And you're going to have to deal with that pain, you know, but from that comes the ability to serve Yah in the way that he intended for us to be able to serve him. And that's by serving one another. We serve one another in service to him. You know, he's given us as a body. We are his hands and feet. You know, and so that's the only reason why someone would be without, you know, because somebody has something that can help, even if it's a little bit. And all those little bits add up to enough. You know, what did it take? Somebody showing up with a picnic, you know, a couple of fish, a couple of loaves of bread, 5 fish and 2 loaves of bread, and everybody was handled. Plus 12 baskets of fragments. You know, so we have a model, we have a precept, we have a structure, we have a witness. Let it do what it's doing. You know, let Yah do what he's doing without us trying to inflict our wisdom on him, because it's very simple. He says that he takes the simple things to confound the wise. Right? You know, it's simple. It's a matter of provision. Is everybody safe? Is everybody in? Have you counted? Everybody's accounted for? Nobody's left out? Now we're good. We are told we can function. And when something needs to be done, everybody rolls their sleeves up and they get it. They get down in the trenches and we get it done. And there is no Jew, there's no Gentile, there's no male, there's no female. We have work to do. Let's do it.
Especially when you're at war. We know how to do this. You know what I mean? We know how to do this. Like I was saying, when we take it out of the context of religion, put it back in the context of family. We know how to come together in hard times, even when we're not getting along, even if we have differences. We know how to, when push comes to shove, we know how to fall into order of serving and making sure that everybody's okay. Why? Because there's that intrinsic love. There's that love, even, if there's differences, there's that love there that's going to overshadow everything. So if you're in a time of war, if you're in a time of great need, if you're in a time where everything is in an uproar, you're going to push everything to the side, and you're going to make sure that those that you care about around you are taken care of by whatever means, and whatever person is able and capable of doing so, they're going to jump in and do it. And right now we're at war.
That's right.
We're in a state of warfare. So whatever is necessary, we jump in. Just like they're having that war over there right now, and everything, all bets are off. So whatever's necessary, okay, I know how to I have nursing skills, I'm going to serve in this kind of way. Well, I know how to do this, I know how to make weapons, I'm going to serve in this kind of way. Everything else is off the table. It doesn't matter, all the divisions and different things. We're at war. The enemy is not us, the enemy's over there. So we're going to pull together our resources to do whatever's necessary to sustain ourselves in the midst of this, and to be overcome. So that's the mindset that we have to take on. Like, whatever is necessary, we all hands on deck. There's no time for, well, this and that. All hands on deck, because we're at war, and we need everyone to make sure that we're all taken care of with whatever resources, whatever portions that have been entrusted to us. We have to be able to take that and portion that out, to each other, portion that out to our community, portion that out to our family that is in whatever need that is, whether that need is bread, clothing, whether that need is upliftment, encouragement, whether it's admonishment, correction, whatever it is, we are given that charge to feed each other with whatever needs to be fed. You know what I mean? So we have to switch our mindset up from, the mindset that we've been taking on of this world, and put the mindset of the Most High in the kingdom, and the basics of family that we already intrinsically know and understand.
That's right. And get back to our tribal roots, get out of that city mindset, and get back to that village mindset, and tend to one another. I mean, when we deal with carnal people, when they deal with natural disasters and other things that are happening, are able to step out of their carnality and serve one another, from humans to dogs, people jumping in. And, I'm from Detroit, and there was an incident that happened at the Detroit Zoo. A chimpanzee fell into the moat that was a part of the chimp exhibit that kept them from crossing the barrier. And he fell into the moat and was drowning. And a man, a pedestrian, I don't recommend this now, but this happened. You can find it on YouTube if you want to. This was years ago, but he jumped in to the exhibit, into the moat, to rescue the chimp. Full grown chimp, he could have had his face ripped off, but something pricked his heart, and piqued his humanity to respond. He said he didn't even think about him being a chimp. He said he was like a person drowning, and he helped him up, and quickly, the man got out unscathed, but he said the look in that animal's eyes was like such gratitude, because chimps are muscular, heavy, they can't swim, and so a person who can just jump in, no greater love than this, and somebody lay down their life for their friend, can jump in and risk his life and limb to try to tend to an animal. How much more should we be able to lower ourselves to tend to each other, and not worry about being diminished, because the Yah says if we humble ourselves, that he's the one who will lift us up. He hasn't run out of anything yet.
I'm just thinking that the chimp, even in his animalistic nature, did not turn around and say, "What you doing? You're not supposed to help me. You're a human. What are you doing here? You're out of position."
like, get out of here. Wait, no, my Chip peeps to come through
Right.
and, pull me out of here. Yeah.
Chip to help me.
Right.
But that intrinsic nature, it was like, wow, thank you for helping me. I needed it. You were available, So
I mean, that's the whole parable of the Good Samaritan.
Yeah.
When you have that juxtaposition, because we know what was going on with those two cultures of people, but you had someone who decided to operate outside of the culture and who chose to operate inside of his humanity. And so this person was able to not only tend to this person, but tended to them out of their own pocket and making sure they, that they had a room in the inn and that they were fully taken care of to be able to be in a space to heal and recover. And this is not someone who was a part of their family. These are not my people, so to speak.
Right.
And if it is those principles that Yahudah has given us, that we are to be loving, even for those who mistreat us, because what happens if they get from your witness, a change of heart and come into their senses, and repent? That's the point, to bring us all to a sense of reflection that yields repentance, that yields submission, that creates growth, that esteems Yahudah.
Yes.
And no one can tell me that that's not something that is functional for him, and that being the case, then we are to be servants first before we can be leaders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's discernment. And if it doesn't look like that, then maybe that spirit is not operating out of those 9 fruits.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that is a lying tree, that's a fig tree that should be mature and have ripe figs on it, but it's barren. And if that's the case, then it's not serving its purpose in the summertime, when it should be ripe, and able to be a supply of nourishment, and so I just urge everyone to consider their own heart as we are counting up to the head of the year and searching out our own comments and getting ready to present ourselves as unleavened at this table of order called the Seder, as we partake of these elements and get renewed, in the season, not to poke anybody else in the eye, because we have our own eyes to examine, and that's how we get true order. So I appreciate your taking time to have this conversation with me, because I enjoy talking with you.
I enjoy talking with you. I enjoy the wisdom flowing out, because it's all about giving Yah the esteem, and about him, as you said, the fruit that's supposed to come forth from our lives is to reflect him. That's the whole point of our lives, to reflect him amongst each other, to reflect him amongst those who don't know him, so that they have a witness of what is this love, what is this wisdom, what is this, we're supposed to be that light, that aroma, it's supposed to be such an aroma amongst each other and such an aroma amongst the nations that it gives glory into his name. He went in the books of the prophets, he's constantly like, you're defiling my name amongst the nations. Like he was concerned about that. You're defiling my character. You said that you are my people, meaning my reflection, the apple of my eye. I should be able to see myself in you and reflect back, but you're defiling it through your character,
That's
so
right.
but our role is to esteem him in the midst of the nations, in the midst of each. So we start with each other, and then that light, that fire grows, so people can see it, and they can see, wow, they can see it from a distance. And then we become like as flashlights when we're in the mist, shining the light of what is this? How is it that you can treat me in this way? How is it that you can speak to me in this way? What is this that I'm encountering, and that is the whole goal of our lives, to esteem Yah through reflecting his character, so you know, we got to remember to make the main thing, get back to the heart. When we get confused and the doctrines and all this thing going back and forth, like, what's the main thing, you know, to be
It's
made in
simple.
his image? You know, we started out with Adam, you know, I wanted you to be made in my image and reign on the earth in my image, you know. So, you know,
filled with my breath, powered by my spirit. His spirit is what made Adam alive.
Yeah.
He wasn't alive until Yahweh put his spirit in him.
Yeah.
You know, and we're no different. So we are to do that. We are to get back into being in that intimate space, that garden space, that one-on-one space with the Most High, you know, and just being able to sit back with him and have a opportunity to communicate face to face. You know, Yahweh was walking up and down the garden in the cool of the day. He wants a personal, interactive relationship with us. And I love what you said about defiling his name and making his name a stench instead of making it a sweet fragrance in a sound of beauty and harmony to those who hear his word. You know, we are not to do that. He restrained his own anger for the sake of his name and reputation. When he didn't destroy Israel, when they were out there constantly grumbling, you know, we want cucumbers, we're tired of this, you know, quail and manna, you know, we are gonna go back to Egypt, it was better there, you know. No. He restrained his own heat for sake of his reputation. How dare we diminish his capacity to restrain himself, his love, his targeted love for us, to the point to where he would enter this space and do what he did for us to be healed and brought back. It's not for us to tell anyone that they are less than fit to try to bring an offering to the Most High. Now you bring it in order. We're not having madness up here. We're not going to rush the altar, you know. But if you have, he said, let each one bring what was brought on their heart to bring, willingly and openly. And now we're telling sisters that they should not be operating in their gifts as led by Yah, only as led by Yah. Because of what? Because of, that's idolatry. We do not worship our men. We do not worship our husbands. We submit. We do not worship our parents. He said, if you put any of these above me, you're not worthy of me, right? We submit to order because Yahusha is our headship. So we understand we're supposed to honor our parents. We understand we're supposed to honor our husbands. We understand that we're supposed to honor our leaders. I mean, right now we have to honor whatever sitting president is. There's certain things that you can't say about the sitting president under the reigns that we're in now. We have to operate by the laws of our communities, our cities, our counties, our states, and federal government. So we need to operate within decency, more so within the kingdom of Yah, according to Torah, you know. And so who are we to say that Yah cannot instruct and we discern properly that is the fruit of Yah's spirit, where someone is to bring a dish to serve? Just it goes all the way back to the same spirit that was present when the woman with the alabaster flask was trying to anoint the feet of Mashiach. And they said, do you know what manner of woman this is? Do you know what the value is of this stuff that she's wasting, the spikenard that she's wasting in this vessel? We could sell that and we could do a whole lot with this for the poor. Because you're speaking out of turn and you do not understand what is happening. There were women who were present in the function of Yahushua's time here on earth. He revealed himself to the women at the tomb first, who brought back report to the brothers. Mm-hmm. There were women who went with spices to prepare the body. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they had to know how to do those things. They didn't go and do that out of a spirit of strange fire.
Right, right.
They did that as they were led to do it. So I'm not talking about what's happening where brothers need to bring order to women who are out of order. That is not what I'm speaking. And I applaud and salute all my brothers who are out there holding the mantle and trying to keep the house in order, because that's what Abbas do. The father secures the house so that the house is secured to the father. Right? Abba. So I'm grateful for all my brothers that are bar mitzvahs, you know, soldiers of the covenant, you know, soldiers of the word, you know, of the law, instructions. Mm-hmm. We need you. Mm-hmm. But we are here to help. That's why we were created. Yeah. Let us help. Yeah. Let us help in decency and order as we are instructed by Yahudah. Yeah. And discern if the spirit is of Yah or if the spirit is a lying spirit. Yeah. That is speaking out of season, and then rebuke and admonish and exhort accordingly. But be subject to Yah so that we can be subject in order. Because Yah is our first head. And at the end of the day, we have to obey him. Mm-hmm. And we don't condone disobeying our head in order to obey Yah. Mm-hmm. Sisters, if your head is out of line with what Yah is telling you to do, then you need to be praying and fasting for order. I'm speaking of single sisters that don't have a male who is acting in a role of leadership over them, that are being redirected away from Yah's service, that have a heart and a vessel that is filled with Haruach. Be obedient and follow through in the service that Yah has given you, because at the end of the day, it's you and him. Mm-hmm. And some of us will be married and some of us will not be married to someone other than Yahushua. Mm-hmm. And I'll leave it there.
Mm-hmm. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
It's a good conversation. And may Yah be esteemed.
May Yah be esteemed.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.